the idea of God is as old as time and as fresh as tomorrow.
I love it.
Because God's idea hasn't changed. You know, Paul, let me just say something to Paul in Romans 12. Paul
you were
says,
saying that earlier. I love it.
Paul says if we want to be transformed, he didn't say go get a new mind.
He said
I'm pausing for a reason. He says you got to have your mind renewed. Now, re is a prefix. Re means to go back to the original state. So whenever you add a prefix re to a word, it means to go backward. You see, the fall of man produced a new ideology. God says, look, come back to my original idea about mankind. Why I made the earth, why I made these planets, why I created the universe, why I put man on this planet. He said, come back to the original idea. Then you'll be transformed into what I intended.
So what you're saying is when Adam was created, his mind thought like God thought.
You are thinking correctly.
And then when sin entered in, his mind became corrupted, polluted.
He had a new idea.
He had an idea, exactly, a new idea that brought death.
Damnation, absolutely.
Damnation.
Think about this.
So what God is saying is come back to the original state.
God's plan originally was, you know, it's very carefully stated by that deliverer called Moses. In the first book of Moses, in chapter 1, God states his original idea. His idea was, he says, let us make man in our own image and our likeness. And he told us why. He says, let them have dominion over the fish, the birds, the cattle, and over all the earth, and over everything that creeps upon the ground. That's God's idea. It's not a mysterious idea. Let me quote it again. He said, let's make a species called man in our own image. That means our own nature and character. Let them have dominion over the earth and everything in the planet. In other words, God's idea was to have a planet, and I'm going to use the term now in the book, colonized by heaven.
Oh, I love that.
So God's original idea was to colonize the
earth.
Physical earth with the kingdom of heaven.
Exactly.
Through his children.
Exactly.
And this is why the idea is so awesome. Colonization is the extension of a kingdom in a foreign territory, impacting it with its purpose, its will, its intent, until that territory takes on the culture of the kingdom.
But now you said through his children. So as you go on talking this week, we're going to see how we're going to get into becoming an extension.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you see, the entire goal of colonization is to transform a territory into the kingdom. You know, I was born in 1954 in an island called New Providence in the Bahamas. When I was not born in a country. I was born in a territory called a colony. Only kingdoms colonize. Colonization is when a kingdom extends its governing influence to a foreign territory and converts the territory into the kingdom so that the people take on the culture, the values, the morals, and the standards and the lifestyle of the king. So when you come to the Bahamas, I was born, we speak English because our king speaks English. We drink tea because our king drinks tea. We wear ties in 90 degrees because the king wears ties in 30 degrees. We drive on the left because the king drives on the left. In other words, when you colonize a place, it becomes just like the kingdom. Now, therefore, the standards of living changed for us. We became as wealthy as the kingdom. We became as healthy as the kingdom. And we're going to get to this, talk about this week, because you see, this is the key. God doesn't want to take earth to heaven.
He wants to bring heaven to earth.
He wants to take heaven to earth.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, I believe 100% in heaven. I believe in heaven more than I believe in earth. Because earth is temporary. The Bible said that which is seen came from that which is unseen. So I believe in heaven. Secondly, I believe in prosperity more than anybody else. Why? Because heaven ain't got no poverty. And he wants the same thing to happen on earth. So that's why Christ didn't have to teach the prosperity of wealth, because to him, wealth was a natural culture. Poverty was strange to Jesus. And then in heaven, there's no sickness. So health and healing is a culture. That's why Jesus hates disease. He hates sickness. Why? It's against the culture of heaven. And he wants the whole earth to be sickness-free.
What you're saying...
That's why your ministry is so important.
And that's why what you're saying is so powerful. And I want to just repeat what he said very quickly. thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. There is no sickness in heaven. There is no poverty in heaven. There is no darkness in heaven. God wants to bring heaven to earth, plain and simple. And one of these days, the earth will become the capital.
Well, here's how we talking. You see, matter of fact, earth is supposed to be a colony of heaven from the beginning. And the first thing that destroys a colony is independence.
Oh, my Lord, how right you are.
When Adam, in chapter 3, disobeyed the king, he declared independence from heaven, and earth became an independent state, lost its kingdom government. And that's why the first thing Adam lost was a government, not a religion. And that's why it says when the Messiah comes, he's not bringing a religion. That's not what Adam lost. It says, for unto us a child will be born, a son will be given. And then it says he's coming with the government upon his shoulders. And of the increase of his government, there will be no end.
You know, you're answering
Adam lost the government of heaven.
Amazing questions you're answering. Like, why did God place the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the garden? He was offering Adam heaven,
a choice,
or earth,
absolutely.
A choice. And the devil came and said, hey, why don't you be independent of God? And he lost it.
You see, keep in mind that Lucifer used to be a part of the government.
Well, of course.
And because of insubordination, an attempted coup, he was expelled from the original country. And so he is very angry at the government. And he knows that earth was intended to be God's colony, extension of heaven. That's why he came to the planet to encourage the colony to commit treason. You know, you keep in mind what Satan asked Adam. He told Adam, he says, look, do you want to be like God? He told Eve. Now, they were already like God. This is why the greatest temptation of the devil is self-doubt.
We're going to stop here. We're almost out of time. I tell you what, you just better tune in tomorrow to listen tomorrow. This will bring a revolution to your life. I'm telling you, what you're talking about, nobody discusses that anymore.
Thank you, Jesus.